What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're working on the Pi Cube. If you don't remember, we're putting a Raspberry Pi 3 inside of a GameCube. Today we're going to be working on the controller ports. First thing we're going to do is take a look at the actual controller port from the GameCube. Also, I'm going to be wiring that up with this piece of cable that I found. You might recognize this from this monster we broke in half on the wall over here. It's a garbage VGA adapter. We're going to be using its ports, and I'll show you how in just a little bit. And yeah, let's get started. Alright, so let's look at the pieces we're actually working with here. We've got the controller board from the GameCube itself, and then we've got this board from, who makes this thing? I don't remember, I think it's Mayflash, for the actual GameCube adapter to go to PC, which I have tested. It does work on the Raspberry Pi 3. So basically what we're going to be doing is we've got these 4 wires here. We're going to be desoldering them from the board on both sides. We're using this cable, which just happens to be exactly 8 pins, so we've got exactly enough for both. Freaking awesome. And we're going to take this cable, solder them here, and then they'll go in the thing somehow. The problem with that is we've got so much work left to do on the GameCube that I don't want to have this permanently attached yet. But I need to have it attached in some way so we can test it and make sure everything works. So what I'm planning on doing right now, we'll see how well this works in a few minutes, is we're going to take this port off of here, and we're going to take this port off and then basically cut this cable in half and use this port as a link between the two pieces. If that doesn't make sense, it'll make sense in a few minutes if I can get this thing out without destroying it. So that's really going to be the biggest determining factor here. The soldering iron should be hot. So that will have started getting this loose. Probably gonna have to do some finagling to actually get it out, but that is nothing new. Use good old dental pick here and get up underneath and apply just a little bit of pressure, like super minimal amount of pressure. By doing that, we'll be able to see which one of these pins, if not all of them, we need to re-hit. The other problem is these pins also seem to be melting through the plastic up top, so I might have already screwed this up. It looks like we're hung on those last couple pins here, so I'm going to just give a little bit of pressure with the hook here. So it's those last 2 that we're hanging up on. I can't really see how they're stuck. Okay, that one definitely needs to have some more solder removed. Wish you guys could see my face right now. Just tried to remove some solder from my foot. I should really start investing in a proper soldering station with, you know, easier to change tips that don't wear out super fast, because that's what we're actually running into. The tip on this guy is actually wearing out on me, like, as we're doing this. Sometimes that happens. We have 2 pins stuck on the board. That came out, but that shouldn't be a problem. I should be able to just get some pliers and pull these out, and then we can just shove them back into the plastic piece and it'll be okay. Alright. Okay. And that's all the pins back in here. So this should work fine. So the way we're going to do this, I think, is leave this plugged in as kind of a heat sink to help keep the heat away from the plastic. Basically what we're doing here is using the contacts to pull the heat away from the pins themselves as we're doing this. That way it should have less chance of melting the plastic itself. But you'll notice I said less chance, not make it impossible. So to do that, we're going to need to cut this end off. and strip it. I can never find a stripper when I need one. So basically what we're doing, we're taking the same wire and soldering it to itself. And what that's going to let us do is make sure we have all the cables in the right order, going to the right pins. I don't think this is going to shrink down enough. That's a shame. Okay. So we're scrapping the heat shrink, and we're just going to have to be kind of studious with how we do this. So first things first, 10 our wires. Okay, and that's the basic idea. So we got our loop. So this pin soldered to its connector. That way when we unplug it, it's on the right pin. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of these. Yeah. So just beers, this thing just not getting hot enough to do this. I think it might be new soldering iron time, guys. Okay, so we're just gonna stop here for right now. So we're running into a hardware difficulty at this point. My soldering iron is not heating up properly anymore. Like, it's hot, sure, it's hot enough to burn the fuck out of you, but it's not hot enough to actually, you know, melt solder, which is, it should be like instantly liquidating. Oh, there it goes, look at that. Okay, so I'm probably gonna cut the video here and finish this. I definitely need to buy a new soldering iron. This thing is just not, I'm not sure what to do here. I'm probably just gonna cut out this entire dialogue and just keep working, because it's not fair to you guys that I have shitty equipment. And I'm too cheap to buy good equipment. So that's my own fault. Let's just fight through it. Yeah, I'm done for now. I need to buy a new soldering iron. Alright, so I finished this off camera. It was just easier to get these last couple ones done without the camera on. I ended up having to change the tip out. This tip is just not working at all. So I got one of the old ones out, which is in much worse shape, but it actually worked, so we're gonna go with it. And yeah. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna desolder these guys here. And we're gonna solder in these wires to come out the holes, so we can actually use this plastic assembly to keep all this nonsense insulated. So I'm curious about this, like, this stuff on top of the solder here. It looks like it's hot glue or something holding this back in. So I might have to actually take that off before we can solder these wires in. Okay, yeah, that's definitely just like some hot glue of some sort. We don't want to pull this whole section off because we want this to stay on. So let's find a knife. A knife. We also need to see where these wires go once they get here, because we want to keep it. We want to know what the wires are, not just solder them up. So basically, our wires are going to look like this. We've got 5 volt, got data, and then ground. I think it's 5 volts. Yeah, 5 volt or 3.3, but I can't really tell. My microphone is like falling over. It was like up here and now it's like down here, so we're going to fix that. Windows is telling me it needs to update. Yeah, shut up, Windows. Are you interrupting my recording? Because that's all that matters right now. I really should be doing this on the Linux side, I guess. It's just easier to boot into Windows on this machine. Alright, so desolder this guy, and then we'll snip this wire and get it plotted out and get it resoldered into the board. Reassemble this guy, and then I'm not sure what we're doing next, so let's just do that and go from there. I just realized I probably could have just, cut these wires and gone wire to wire instead of doing this. We'll probably actually do that on the other side. Because anytime you do this, you run the risk of pulling the traces out of the board. And that is not fun to deal with. So if you guys have watched some other videos, you know what I'm doing here, but I'll explain it again anyway. Basically, I'm heating up the socket on the back side and then sucking the solder through it. And what that's doing is just clearing all this extra solder that's hanging out in the hole, so we can just stick our wires through the hole a lot easier. But again, you run the risk of messing up the traces when you do this, so don't know if I'd recommend doing it, but that's what we're doing. There we go. It doesn't look like we messed any of the traces up there. You can still see the rings around each of the throughs. So what we're going to do on this side is we're just going to do it the other way, but I mentioned earlier. We're just going to cut this and do wire to wire, which might be a little harder to actually solder in, but we don't have any risk of messing the traces up. So let me get these guys stripped back and stripped off, and we'll go from there. And I guess basically this will be a good example of what the two different methods are for doing this kind of thing. You guys can see the pros and cons of both. So, yay. Okay, so I don't remember if I actually said what I was doing with this earlier, because I haven't watched this footage since I shot it a few days ago. What we're doing here is we're making an adapter in the middle. So what we want to do is run these wires out these ports to a breakpoint, and have a breakpoint we can plug back into the other side to go to the front, so we can disassemble this more easily. So basically we need to make sure we have enough wire to get out of these ports and then back together. We'll just do it in half before I change my mind. So I think we're gonna do red for 5 volt and black for ground, and then brown and yellow for the two datas. As long as I keep them in the right order, it doesn't really matter which one's which. Okay. It looks like we're using the ugly side. That's fine. Alright, so we need a red, yellow, black, brown on each side. I guess we'll do the wire side first because it's easier. Okay, so this is why I labeled this, so we can see it. So 5's the first one, so we'll do that first. That's the red one. Almost forgot the heat shrink. So we're gonna see if this will work even. So drop it over here. that's all those wired up. Good to go. I'm gonna run grab a lighter to do this heat shrink with, and I will be right back. Couldn't find my lighter, but I found this thing in Lady Bucket's stuff, so we'll try it out. So I'm not sure if this is gonna shrink up enough, but I realized that I can just cut an extra length of wire and shove in there, and it'll take up the space. So that's what we're gonna do. So basically, I'm just gonna use this as a filler to take up space in this heat shrink, so that when it shrinks, maybe it'll actually go all the way down. Hey, that actually worked. And that definitely would not have gone all the way down without the filler in there, so we're gonna need a few more of those. I don't know if this is something people usually do. I literally just thought of doing this, so if this is something new, yay me. And if you guys are like, hey, yeah, we've been doing that for years, then yeah, whatever. I figured it out all by myself. All by myself. No, stop it, stop it. We're doing this a little bit smarter this time. Use pliers instead of my fingers before we put fire on it. And that actually works better than the lighter does, because I can turn it on and off faster. I can get in and out faster. I can reach in and do it instead of having to hold it over the lighter. I might have to buy one of those to keep in here. Or I might just keep this one in here and buy her a new one. So those are all good to go. Nice secure solders. All heat shrinked up. So for this side, it may or may not be easier. We'll see. So we're gonna hold this guy up here so you guys can see it a little better. And go through the hole, straight through the hole, and drop it, because I'm smart. We can use this one to hold it up, and this one to hold the wires. Yeah. It's not called Smart Projects. I might actually add that to my banner at some point. The more I say that, the more it's actually becoming kind of a slogan. And I may as well make fun of myself, because then other people don't have as much to make fun of. Okay, so apparently it's easier just to tin the tip of this thing and let it run through. This thing is so tangled up. All right. And that looks a lot better. Okay, so there's our adapter box with removable header. Basically, this is going to do. It's going to go inside here. Feed the wires up.